My Life Between Lives story from Newton-trained Institute practitioners.
I see a whole change in the thrust of searching for answers about who we are and why we're here. And I think it's wonderful, and I just hope the movement continues to expand.
Let us expand the universal consciousness together with a My Life Between Lives story presented by the Michael Newton Institute.
Welcome to My LBL Story. My name is Ekomananda. Today we have special guest, Millie Diericx. Millie has been an energy therapist and hypnotherapist for the past 25 years. Her journey began with searching for alternative methods after conventional treatment for lupus failed. Traditional medicine only alleviated the symptoms with side effects, motivating her searching for effective healing techniques, which she now offers to others. Her journey led her gaining a master's in Ericksonian psychotherapy, specializing in past life regression, life between lives therapy, and quantum consciousness, exploring the deeper mind and searching for spiritual clarity. She later pursued a PhD degree in thanatology, focusing on grief processing. Recently, she has also been participated in Bill Bennett's documentary film, Facing Fear, alongside experts like Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton. These days, Millie employs the Konscio Method, integrating her lifetime knowledge to enhance the consciousness and the well-being of others. A big warm welcome to Millie. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you, Ekomananda, for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have this opportunity to learn about your story. I'm sure millions of people, so many audience is intrigued about your story of healing yourself from lupus. Could you please share with us a little bit more about your story?
Of course. I was 30 years old. My second son had just been born, and he was 2 months old, and then I started getting symptoms that weren't new to me because I had had them, but separate. But in this week, just everything came together, and I had incredibly high fevers in which I was hallucinating. It ate all my muscles. My skin was falling apart. Every single one of my joints was swollen out of proportion. It was just wreaking havoc with my body. And at the end of 1 week, this was just 1 week. At the end of 1 week, it was attacking my central nervous system. It was already there in the skull, in the brain. So when I finally reached the doctor, he said, you have 2 days to live because it's already attacking your central nervous system. So basically, bye-bye. Put your affairs in order. You're going to die. But he gave me immunosuppressants, and he gave me incredible amounts of prednisone, and I survived, fortunately, and I'm here. But I spent about 6 months in bed, and that was my prognosis. My prognosis was you're going to be in bed for the rest of your life in a dark room because light, even artificial light, was so painful to me. It felt like acid. So I was going to be in a dark room with immunosuppressants, so I couldn't be with people, not even my 2 sons, not even my newborn baby, because they could give me some disease and I could die. So I was basically a vegetable in a dark room. So I thought to myself, what kind of life is this? And do I want to live like this? And the answer was no. So I said that there must be another way. And of course, I know, because I was already studying these alternative methods before, I had already dabbled into this, that their body can heal itself. If you cut yourself, you heal. If you get a cold, you heal. So I was thinking, why couldn't my body heal from this? So I said, there must be a way. And I started looking for alternative methods. And many of them don't work. There are a lot of charlatans out there, and many of them are just, they don't work. But some of them do. So everything I learned was what worked for me, I went and studied it, and then I started doing it with other people because I've always been a sharer. So I was in the courses and I was thinking like, oh, this will be so good for ekomananda because she just told me she suffers from, I don't know, migraines or something. So I was always thinking about other people and applying all this knowledge to others. So I became a therapist with the very first thing I studied, which was being a Reiki master, because Reiki gave me that energy. It was just a little bit of energy because I was so exhausted. I could just do like one thing, like maybe bathe or be with my sons for 10 minutes. That's all I could do. But Reiki would give me that energy. So the first thing I studied when I could was Reiki. And from there, I went to all sorts of other places. And I started getting better and better and better. And I started like trying to find the formula of what was working. Took me 14 years, to be perfectly honest, in dabbling and just searching and studying when I fell across LBL and the MY Institute. And that actually was a closing gem, I could say, of all these healing techniques, because the other ones deal with the body. Reiki passes energy, and acupuncture, deals with the meridians, and all these things were healing my body. But until I got the clarity of the beyond, did I actually heal, if that's any way to put it.
Amazing story. So how long did it take you to actually eventually heal yourself from lupus?
About 14 years to stop the flares. And then after a couple of LBLs done on myself, to get the clarity of the purpose of this illness. Because everything you and I know has a purpose.
And what's the purpose of you experiencing lupus?
I'm a soul studying to be a healer. You know that souls get their own pathways, and I'm developing into a healer. So I had to be the wounded healer. This archetype of the wounded healer. I had to experiment this in my own body and be able to heal myself in order to lead people how to heal themselves and help them, because you can't really understand something unless you have lived it. And that's the basic purpose of me experiencing this illness and being able to go from my deathbed, literally, and you're going to die in 2 days, to a perfectly normal life in however many years it took me. By now I'm 55 and I was 30 then, so 25 years. So that I can lead others through their healing journeys.
When did you first contact LBL therapy?
I think it was around 2012, something like that. And it's a funny story, the way Michael makes himself known, because I was in an airport and I always like to read in airplanes. I travel a lot. So I was in the airport and I had forgotten my book, and that never happens. So I went into the library of the airport and started looking for a book. And Michael's book was just calling me. And I looked at it and I was arguing with the universe. I have a lot of arguments with the universe. I'm not an easy client. So I was saying like, no, I don't want to work on the plane. I'm going to have a novel and I'm going to have fun. So I disregarded the calling and kept looking. Half an hour later, it was just like, okay, the only book that's calling my attention is that. So, okay, I'll buy the book. So I got the book, My Journey of Souls, and I went into the waiting area for the airplane and I started reading. By page 6, I said, okay, I get it. I need to study this. And I started looking in the internet because the requisites to get into the course, and it said, you need to have a master's in hypnotherapy. That's where I came up with the Ericksonian hypnotherapy, because I was leaving for the summer. So I searched what master's degrees in hypnotherapy are there in Mexico, and Ericksonian popped up. So I just put my name down and went off in the trip and finished the book in the trip. And it was just absolutely fascinating, because it was a reminder of a previous experience that I didn't remember then, but I remembered during my first LBL, that I had a near-death experience when I was really young, when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I drowned. And I went out of my body and I saw my body floating there and I saw the tunnel and I went through the tunnel and I was going to the light and I felt such peace and love and it was just beautiful. And then my father found me in the waves and took me out of the water and pressed me and all the water came out of my lungs and I came back into life. But I remember that during the first LBL. But I was reading the book, Michael's book, and I was saying like, yes, this resonates with me. I know this to be true in the core of my being. So that's how I came across Michael. And then when I finished the master's, I went into LBL and this was 2014. So it must have been about 2012 because the master's was 2 years.
Amazing. And so did you actually receive LBL therapy immediately after you read the book?
Sort of. During the process of being in the Ericksonian hypnotherapy, I went first to study with Brian Weiss, past life regressions. And then I went to New York to have an LBL with Paul Arnaud. He is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful soul. And he was my first experience, and he's one of the big gurus of this. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Michael because he was already retired by the time I got to the Institute. But I got to meet Paul and do my first LBL with him in his office in New York. And that was such a great experience.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, I love Paul. I love his teaching, his energy is absolutely just divine, that peace we can all resonate with. And when you come to life between life therapy, have you already got the lupus under control, or were there some lingering symptoms hanging on there?
There were still some lingering symptoms. I started getting rid of triggers. First, I started going for the symptoms, and every symptom had a trigger, and I had to solve the trigger and heal the trigger. And then somewhere along the journey, I found the root cause of the situation. And when I healed the root cause, my immune system stopped being so reactive, and I had less and less flares. And I think by the time I was in San Damiano, I took the training in San Damiano, my flares were almost completely gone. If I've had another one, it's been very light, and now I have enough consciousness in myself that I know when something is off and I can just nip it at the bud. So
were the root causes discovered by life between life therapy method?
No. No, it was discovered by resonance repatterning. But LBL gave me the clarity of the purpose, and so I knew where to look. And I knew that I had come into this life to be a healer. And I knew that my family had a lot of problems and that I had come to be that force of healing for the whole family. Like I was in the spirit world and they told me, oh, you want to be a healer? Perfect. I have the perfect, very conflictuated family for you to go into. So in I came. And I came at the worst possible moment for my family in which all the problems were there. And that was actually the root cause, because when you are conceived in such an environment full of grief and anger and pain and crisis, then you're suffering all those emotions with your mother and with your parents through the whole thing. So that was my inception into the world. Like, okay, you decided to come into the reality of pain. Okay, in you go. And that was actually the root cause.
This family environment that you were born to was discovered through resonance repatterning. Is that correct?
Yeah, resonance repatterning. I found like that to be the root cause of the problem. But I already knew through LBL that my family needed healing and that I had chosen to come into that family for the purpose of healing that family.
So you received resonance repatterning first before LBL?
I studied it first, yes. And it's been one of my core systems because it works like magic, because it changes. What resonance repatterning does is it finds exactly the root cause of any problem. You can say, I don't know, I don't have enough abundance, or I'm insecure. So you go to the past situation in which this belief was created, and it changes the resonance of that belief in the past. And when you do that and you heal it from the past, then the projection to the future disappears. So it works like magic. It's beautiful. So I find that the combination of the clarity of an LBL, I already knew the purpose of my family and all these, and then finding the root cause in that conception at the moment of all that trouble, just the combination was, okay, now I can heal that. It was just like the two ingredients I needed.
Beautiful. You've done so many different sort of a training, and you equipped with different multi-skill sets to benefit the audience. I mean, had we not known this resonance repatterning method, the root cause perhaps would be revealed by LBL anyway. Would you say so?
Probably. But I don't know if through an LBL we could change the resonance. We get the clarity, we get the consciousness of it, and we bring it from the unconscious mind into the conscious mind. But sometimes just knowing isn't enough. It wasn't for me. I had to go back to that little fetus and change the resonance. Because imagine every single one of my cells in the body was made on that matrix, on that resonance. So I had to change that belief and bring that clarity of the LBL of saying, all of this has a purpose, and telling that to the little fetus so that their whole perspective changes.
Yes, I love that saying, knowing isn't good enough to heal.
Sometimes, no. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes just knowing is more than half of the problem solved, But sometimes you need a little bit more. That's why I have so many skill sets, because I just take from here, and I do all of these things with my clients.
Yes, because when we know the problem or the root cause of it, it doesn't help to release it. I mean, sometimes it does. Other times it needs deeper drilling and like really cleansing the wound, and then patch it up and sanitize it, give it medicine, leave it time to process, to heal. And then after that, we need to practice it.
Exactly.
Then it becomes a journey of healing, properly healed through this process.
And also, you have memories in the body. So all those bodily memories in the cells have to be healed too. So it's sometimes not enough just to have it in your mind that you are this beautiful being of light who came to this purpose, but you are in a body, and every single one of your cells is alive and conscious, and they have that memory ingrained in them. So that's why I think resonance repatterning was such a good tool for me, because since it was from conception, I had to heal every single cell of that belief and that resonance with death and whatever, and grief and all these things.
We have to heal every single cell of that belief. What a strong message.
Yes, because we are multidimensional beings, and the dimension of the body also needs healing. Not only the mind and the soul, but also the body.
Yes, so the different layers of the body, of the self, each layer needs to be healed properly.
Exactly. That's what I found.
It's so applicable to all of us. And unfortunately, some people out there are still missing this information, this knowledge.
That's very unfortunate, because it does work. I'm living proof of it. But it's incredible that still many people are very closed to attempting to heal. I think it's sad. But I think in the age of Aquarius that we just entered like completely, with Pluto coming into Aquarius in November, consciousness is going to open up. Everybody says we're in the shift. We should be in the shift, and it should be opening more consciousness.
To those who are not open to this energetic healing method, our consciousness expansion, life between life therapy, past life stuff, all of this, what do you see the reason behind this scenario. I mean, we are aware we are becoming more open each day. The world is becoming opening up and shifting. But do you see any reasoning behind those who are not open?
One word: fear.